You're watching another Nerd Stalker interview. Welcome to another Nerd Stalker interview. Good afternoon. This is Greg Glory, aka Social Greg on Twitter, for the Nerd Stalker Media Network. Today, I'm pleased to talk with Nick Brazzi of Lynda.com.
Hey,
Live. Hey, how you doing, man?
hey, doing great, man. Thanks for talking.
You guys are in Carpinteria, right? Southern California, right?
Yeah, we're pretty much right in between Santa Barbara and Los Angeles, right there on the
Okay,
coast.
so Central Southern California
Yeah,
by
we think of it as
everyone's.
southern.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But well, no, I appreciate that. As you know, lynda.com is a great video resource for online training needs, and they recently opened up their vault for a week, and just to get people a taste of some of the content. And by doing that, we wrote about that on Nerdstalker, and by doing that, it got me interested in actually looking at the instructional landscape and especially online videos, how Lynda.com actually delivers instruction. And so that's why we're talking about Nick today. A little bit about Nick. Nick is a full-time content producer at lynda.com, and we'll let him explain what that means. I think it's a modern term. I'm not that modern, I guess, so he'll have to explain that to me. And then where he works in partnership with lynda.com authors in crafting kind of cutting-edge training courses. And before that, he was a software trainer and instructional designer at Apple, so yeah, I'm sure he has a lot of stories about that. And he was also being a regular guest speaker on Macintosh user groups in Silicon Valley. So good afternoon, Nick. Thanks for joining us here on Nerd Soccer again. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. I hope I didn't step on your intro there.
No, 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 no. Don't worry about that. I usually make this free flowing. So
Right
I'm
on.
not 60 minutes, and I know
Okay.
that. So
All right.
it's okay. So do you want to add anything about yourself to tell the Nerd Soccer audience?
Well, I mean, I kind of come from a background of, freelance video editing and teaching. I've done a bit of both. And so, working here at Lynda is just, it's this awesome outlet for crafting, great training for, helping people learn what they need to learn, all that stuff. You mentioned my job, I'm a content producer, which means I work directly with the authors. When you log into lynda.com, you click on a course, you're watching some author, some content specialist teach you the content. And in a way, I'm sort of like a book agent or a book editor. I'm paired with that author. I work with them to develop the course, develop the table of contents for their course, help frame it, help, put it together. And then I engineer their recording session. So I'm in the booth with them.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
the first learner. They've got to teach me in the booth. So I'm working with the authors throughout that whole process. And there's, probably around 14 content producers here at lynda.com all doing the same thing, all the time, lots of courses in production, constantly.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. And it looks like you're in a recording booth there.
I actually am. I was here at the office today and I was thinking, where can I sit down and have a nice quiet space to talk to Greg? And of course, I might as well jump in on one of our recording booths, so you can get a little bit of a look of what it looks like inside here. It's kind of neat because it's a space for two people divided. So the author has a larger, very quiet space. The producer has all the computer equipment. So I'm sitting in here. I'm on the producer side, and I've got two computers running, and it's starting to heat up in here. So it's nice and toasty in this space.
I wish for our podcast we had something that's special, but in SF Tech here we hack everything to death here. So as you know,
Oh yeah.
so so anyway, well, let's talk about you've been in training a while, and can you talk a little bit about how the online training arena has kind of evolved, from your days in Apple to maybe how Lynda.com is addressing it?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the history of Lynda, you kind of see the history of training. And even before I was with Lynda, I was kind of experiencing some of the same stuff. Lynda started publishing books. And when I say Lynda, I'm talking both about the person, Lynda Weinman, and the company that she started. I'm kind of talking about both. So Lynda started publishing books and started up a classroom in Ojai, California, which is close to here, Carpinteria. And for a long time, it was about classroom training, and it was about publishing books. And eventually, people started distributing video through VHS, DVD, etc. And you saw Lynda go through that growth. At that time, I'm not with lynda.com, but I'm I'm teaching in schools. You know, I was never an actual professor, but I taught at Georgetown University in a
Wow.
media lab. And then later I was teaching inside of Apple stores, you know, face-to-face workshops, that sort of thing. And even at Apple, we were using lynda.com, you know. And so
Wow. Really?
eventually the internet, of course, kickstarts everything, and it became all about video distributed over the web. You know, and if you talk to us 10 years from now, who knows how we might be distributing training, you know. It's really cool stuff. It's always evolving.
So what have you seen are kind of like major differences between, you know, obviously we have a lot of technology. We have the tablet, we have the phone. They're all connected. They actually, you know, our devices are second strings now to the actual TVs. So, you know, that must change the landscape a little bit for you guys, right?
It does. I mean, I definitely enjoy consuming Lynda courses on the iPad the most. You know, we've got this awesome iPad app. And what's great about that is I can work at my computer and I can build the project that I'm building, and I don't have to multitask and switch to this application and switch back to that application. I can have the iPad sitting over here on the side, watch the video while still working. So yeah, the different outlets, the different ways of consuming the media, it's super cool. And I'm a big iPad user anyway.
No, I think in the old days, you could go back to DVD and then you could go to VHS tape if you really want to, right?
Sure,
We
sure.
used to have our hand on the fast forward, stop, go back button, right, to find out,
Right.
okay, what did I miss, right?
Everyone.
What did I miss, right?
Yeah. And in all of our players, be they on the web or the iPad, there's that button to back up 10 seconds or back up 30 seconds. Like, wait, what did he say? Bloop, and you can just jump back.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that's something, you know, you know, on a mechanical button you can't do unless
Yeah.
you design it into the product. On software, you could do almost anything, right? So
Yeah.
that's pretty
But
cool.
you know, the other angle that you're talking about, how does the technology affect the way that we teach? What I think is amazing is we can, you know, we've got people dedicated to finding awesome authors, people who are experts in their field. And we can find these people who, you know, maybe they go to conventions, maybe they go to user groups, a lot of them write books, but we can take this person, we can give them an audience around the world. You know, I'm working with a bunch of authors developing courses, authors who are in the UK, and we're going to give them not only an American audience but an international audience, so we can find the best authors and allow them to talk to, you know, anybody connected to the web.
Now, who are these authors that you guys get? You know, I'd like to
Yeah.
dig into that a little bit. Like, you know, are these like college professors or are these like normal people like me? I'm pretty normal, but well, I somewhat
Could
normal, but
be. To give you a little glimpse into our company, we've got people on staff known as content managers. And these are people who specialize in each content area, be it video or business or web development or whatever. And those people alone are experts in their field. And they're always snooping out there. They're going to conferences, they're networking with people, you know, they're already well connected in their fields. So they're always trying to find great authors. And, you know, I don't know all of their tricks, but, you know, they'll find people who've written a bunch of books. They'll, you know, you're probably familiar with NAB, which is a huge
oh yeah,
conference
absolutely.
for video producers. You know, I'm more of a video person. So, you know, the content manager that I work with for video spends a lot of time at NAB and conferences like that and seeing people's presentations, talking about who's the cool guy who knows about Nuke, who's the guy who knows about After Effects. And he'll find those people and he'll talk to them. And usually they're people who've written books or are seasoned speakers, people who've got a lot of experience, some cachet of knowledge and reputation.
No, I think that probably helps quite a bit, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
the reach of what you guys are delivering on lynda.com has to do not only with the content, but also with the speaker giving the content as well, right?
Yeah, it's, you know, it's all about somebody who knows the thing that we're trying to communicate, you know, finding the
Mm.
best mind in that field.
No, that's cool. So let's jump into, you know, how I got to know you and
Okay.
lynda.com was that you guys ran a you know, you opened up the vault for a week, which was really cool to kind of look at a OSX Mavericks video, which wasn't yours, but it was kind of the basic kind of overview video where you could actually look at some of the features in OSX Mavericks. But you had developed a video yourself, right?
Right. We at this point we've got two courses on our library for OS 10 Mavericks. One is a course that Chris Breen, he's a writer for Macworld, he authored that course, and that's OS 10 Mavericks or OS 10 Maverick's new features.
Right.
The course that I authored was OS 10 Essential Training. And so the new feature course, which is Chris's course, is for people who've used OS 10, who know all about OS 10, but they don't know this new version. They don't know the cool new features, the tabbed browsing, or all the other cool things that are in Mavericks, the new update. Where my course, Essential Training, was a longer course. It's geared towards people who aren't already Mac users. Maybe they're Windows users. Maybe they're just starting to get into using computers. And that's more framed around helping people understand from scratch, well, what is an operating system? I love kind of applying a logic to it and cracking it open and saying, there's this thing on your computer and it's called a desktop. Well, why is it called that? Well, look at your desk. You've got a desktop. And you can put files on your desktop, but you probably shouldn't put all of your files on there. Don't let it get too messy. You can file those away into your filing cabinet, and that's Finder. So I like to apply logic to that. So it's all about helping people understand it from scratch. So two very different courses, and I had a great time as the second course that I authored. Actually being the author rather than the producer. So,
no, I think that's great. I mean, I guess your Apple background does help, huh?
Yeah, I worked in the Apple stores for a while, and in the Apple stores we did, group workshops and individual one-on-one training sessions. And it's so valuable, like sitting down individually with people and hearing the questions that people ask, getting into their heads, questions that you never would have anticipated. That to this day, whether I'm authoring a course or working with an author, I can say, I met somebody who probably would be thinking like this and would ask this question, and it really helps me frame the training.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, being a content manager at Lynda reminds you of my background, where I was a product manager at a company, and we had to go out and do the same thing. And it was more valuable to talk to our customers from the development standpoint and really get, like you said, get into their heads, so we could actually help them the best. And whether, and obviously, if it's product development or it's instructional design, it's the same thing. It sounds like.
Yeah. I had a short story that I absolutely love. When I was working in the Apple stores, somebody asked me a question one time that stopped me dead in my tracks and floored me, and I didn't know how to answer the question. We're working on her computer doing something. She asked me, "What is the internet?" And I was dead stop, brick wall. I had no idea how to answer that question.
That's a hard one.
It really is. If somebody doesn't know what the internet is, how do you explain it to them? And I love things like that because it makes me, I stumbled through it there in the moment, but later I was really thinking about how do you frame that to somebody? And, we don't have that specific question at Lynda, because if you're at lynda.com, you're already on the internet.
Yeah.
But I like to get into that headspace of, okay, what would somebody ask here? What would somebody not be clear about, and helping to translate that?
Oh, absolutely. And I think, when I used to do product demos, for people, it ran the gamut, and they would ask the basic questions to, stump the chump, I call questions, right? Where they're purposely asking you something that you probably don't know because they want to look smarter than you.
Yeah, there is that element out there.
But luckily these are instructional videos, and they can say anything they want to you. You just won't respond back to them, right? So.
Yeah, and we're all about helping people, improve their knowledge.
No. How do you guys get feedback on the actual instructional videos? Like, let's say that I've done the video, and I have some questions or some feedback for you guys. How do they do that?
Well, on the course page for each of our courses, there's a link for people to give feedback. And, it goes into this big database system, and I can go in there at any time and pull out the feedback for any of the courses that I've produced and filter that over to the author. And it's great, if I've worked with this author before and we do a course and we're gearing up to do another course, I can look back at feedback for another course and say, okay, this person was frustrated if somebody talked too fast or something like that, or, we can find little details like that and just make the next course better. So yeah, it's a pretty great feedback system. So if you are a Lynda user, take a look on the course page. There's that feedback button, and you can always let us know.
How many different languages are you guys delivering Lynda.com courses in?
Well, recently you may have seen in the news that lynda.com acquired Video to Brain, which is
Ah, right.
a European training company with a similar business model. They're based in Austria.
Mm.
So our core lynda.com production is all in the English language. Video to Brain is still operating under that brand, and they're doing. I wish I could tell you the languages. There's a big push recently for Japanese, but Spanish, French, Italian, and of course English are well cemented. And there's a lot of conversation about how we're going to grow into that area. Not it's one of those areas of the company that I'm not as familiar with, but I know there's some people really working hard on answering that question. Do we
No.
separate courses in Spanish, or do we translate, or what?
Yeah, no, we'll do that in another interview. But I mean,
Sure.
I think I think it's interesting because I think from your view as an instructor, obviously we talked about how technology has changed and how you guys deliver instructional technology. Have you thought about the future a little bit and how you'd like to kind of develop courses moving into a future that you really can't see too well?
Yeah, there's a lot of conversations. The content producers, I mentioned there's 14 of us, and we get together on a weekly basis, and one of the things we talk about is what can we do better. One of the other content managers I work with, great guy, he's developing, and if you're using lynda.com, you may have seen this recently, he's developing the system of challenges. So you watch a course, and at the end of a chapter, there's this challenge. Okay, you've seen the training, now try to build this thing. Now try to design this thing. And then the author will come back and say, okay, you had 30 minutes to build the thing. Now I did my version, and I'll share with you my results. And that's really cool. So it's this way of not just following step by step, but being given a challenge and see if you can solve the problem.
Interesting.
So, Matt Fishback, one of the other content producers, is working really hard on that, doing really cool stuff. And not only him, but other people are always working on new ideas, way of communicating with authors or who knows what. But we're always spitballing ideas.
Yeah.
I always think if Lynda started as a classroom and now we're distributing video on the web, well, then who knows what's going to happen in 10, 15, 20 years.
No, I think, one of the things they talked about at one of the conferences was at Broadcom. They're based in the Los Angeles area, and a huge company. They talked about really moving seamlessly from one device to another. So, even though lynda.com lives on the internet, if I had the ability to not only see it on TV, but as I go into my car and still listen to it and keep track of where I was, with a new device or with my car, that's really where they say the future is actually going to be.
Yeah, or even better, one of the things I love about our iPad app is that you can download a certain number of videos locally to your device.
Oh, really?
So if you're on an airplane and you don't have network connection and you're locked in a seat for 3 hours straight, that's another way to do that.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Because most of us use our because of data plans, we usually use our iPad tablet on wireless, right? Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
So we can't really we can't really travel a lot with it unless we enable the 4G, 3G functions. So
yeah, and anyway, all that stuff's going to evolve too.
Oh, absolutely. Well, anyway, I appreciate your time. This was a great conversation, and thanks for sharing a lot of the insight of instructional online video, which I think a lot of people probably don't appreciate in this world. How you guys at lynda.com deliver content. So can you tell us how to get a hold of you and get a hold of lynda.com?
Well, the great thing about lynda.com is the name is our URL. So lynda.com. Go ahead and check it out. I could give you my Twitter handle, but I am a consumer of Twitter. I'm not a contributor. I love just absorbing the feed, but I never throw anything out.
They call that stalking, Nick.
Okay.
No,
yeah.
Just kidding.
I'm a web stalker. Yeah.
And I'm a nerd stalker, so it's okay.
Yeah. I don't have much of a public presence out there myself, but I think that there's me and a couple other unsung people behind the scenes behind that stuff you're seeing on Lynda.
No, I think it's great.
Definitely check
No,
that out.
no. In fact, check out lynda.com. Like I said, the agency I worked at and a couple other companies used it, and it's evolved. As the technology evolves, as Nick has said, and I think I appreciate some of the things that you guys are delivering to the web. But anyway, yeah, it's a subscription basis, right?
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, it's a monthly cost, and there's different levels to that. Whether you want to download the same project files that the author is working with in the course, and that's part of our premium membership. And then, there's a lot of schools and government institutions and lots of other organizations that have site licenses. So if you are a university student, you might check and see if your university already has a Site Lynda membership and get in on that.
Yeah, no, I like that about with our company. We had a company membership, and any of us could access it at any time and deliver great content if we didn't know something about Photoshop, PSX, and other things like that. So yeah, check it out, everyone. Anyway, we'll close out the interview. Thanks a lot for your time.
Hey, thank you.
All right. So thanks for joining us, everyone. This is Greg Gloria, a.k.a. Social Greg on Twitter for the Nerd Soccer Media Network, where we believe in tech, startups, design, and you. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and be careful out there.